Peak Michael Jordan might walk into today's NBA as its best scorer and still not be its best player, because the modern throne is not occupied by one kind of superstar. Nikola Jokić is an offense. Victor Wembanyama is a defensive ecosystem. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander already owns the paint and mid-range geography Jordan once ruled, and Luka Dončić can bend 5 defenders with one pick-and-roll. So this is not a nostalgia question. We are going to build 3 versions of Jordan, then rank everyone. First, define the competition. In 2026, Shai won a second straight MVP. Jokić averaged a triple-double, 27.7 points, 12.9 rebounds, and 10.7 assists. Luka won the scoring title at 33.5. Wembanyama became the league's first unanimous Defensive Player of the Year. That matters because best player now means at least 3 different things: creating your own shot, creating an entire offense, or erasing the opponent's offense. Jordan has to beat all 3 definitions. And that changes Jordan's job. Drop the old label shooting guard. A modern team would make him its primary wing creator, a 6'6" attacker initiating possessions, hunting switches, getting downhill, and finishing games. But he would not hold the ball like Luka on every trip. The goal would be to preserve the violence of Jordan's first step, then give him modern spacing and simple reads. Score if the lane opens, punish the switch, or hit the corner when the low man commits. Picture the lineup: 1 rim-running center, 3 credible shooters, and Jordan with an empty corner. If the big drops, he walks into the foul line jumper. If the big comes up, Jordan attacks the rim. Switch it, and now a guard or center has to survive his post-game. Send the low man and the corner is open. This is why modern spacing would help him, not because defenders stop playing defense, but because they have farther to travel before they can put a second body in his path. First transferable weapon is obvious, but the reason is not. Jordan did not just jump higher than everybody. He created separation before takeoff. Watch the shoulder get outside the defender. Watch the second step stretch past the help. Then watch him finish from the wrong side of the rim. In a wider NBA, that first advantage becomes more valuable. He would see fewer bodies at the point of attack and faster, longer help waiting at the end. Easier first line, harder second line. The closest modern offensive blueprint is Shai, not Anthony Edwards. Shai lives in Jordan's old real estate: the paint, the nail, the short pull-up, the free throw line. He changes speed instead of launching from 30 feet, and defenses still cannot keep him out. In 2026, Shai scored 14 points per game on drives and finished those drives at 59.2%. That is the proof of concept. A superstar guard can dominate modern basketball from inside the arc, if every step forces a decision. Now place them side by side. Shai is more patient and already fluent against modern zones. Jordan is more explosive, gets higher at the rim, and offers more defensive disruption. The crucial difference is not style, it is burden. Shai has spent his prime solving these coverages every night. Jordan would need repetitions against switching centers, nail help, and late rotations he was never allowed to see in exactly this form. So Jordan's athletic ceiling is higher. Shai's modern evidence is stronger. That is why the answer cannot begin with mythology. And this is where the easy Anthony Edwards comparison breaks. Ant absolutely gives you the power, the acceleration, the hang time, and that same confrontational confidence. But modern Edwards is not a Jordan clone without polish. In 2024-25, he hit 39.5% from 3, took 10.3 attempts per game, and led the league with 320 makes. In one night against Detroit, he buried 10. Edwards bends the defense from a distance. Jordan never proved he could sustain. Jordan's edge is what happens after the first defender loses. His footwork is cleaner. His post-game is deeper. He can turn a broken drive into a balanced fadeaway, and at his peak, he read the second defender better than Edwards does today. So the useful comparison is a composite: Ant's downhill force, Shai's shot geography, and Kawhi Leonard's mid-post strength and hands. But even that Frankenstein version misses something essential. Jordan changed identities during his career. That adaptability is part of the projection, not a free assumption. Defense is the other reason Jordan would never be merely top 20. In 1987-88, he averaged 35 points, 3.2 steals, and 1.6 blocks, while winning both MVP and Defensive Player of the Year. But a modern coach would not ask him to chase the best creator for 40 minutes. Jordan would conserve energy on a secondary assignment, hunt passing lanes, dig at the post, and then take the primary matchup when the game tightened. Think less permanent lockdown assignment, more high-leverage defensive weapon. That still would not make him the league's best defender. Wembanyama changes the value of the position itself. A great perimeter defender can erase one matchup, blow up a pass, or steal a possession. Wemby can discourage an entire category of shots. Drivers turn around before he even blocks them. In 2026, he led the league in blocks, opponent field goal percentage, and contested shots per game. Jordan could be the best defensive superstar guard in basketball and still finish far behind the league's most valuable rim protector. Now the uncomfortable part, shot value. Jordan's career three-point percentage was 32.7. Some of that came on low-volume, late-clock attempts, and in an era that did not reward the shot the way today's league does. But we cannot simply gift him an elite jumper. If he takes 2 or 3 threes and lives on long twos, a modern defense can win the math even while he wins the matchup. Jordan might score 35, and his team could still lose the geometry. And legal zone principles make the reads different. Today, the second defender can shade toward Jordan before the ball arrives. The nailed defender can stunt, recover, and make the lane look open for half a second. Jordan faced brutal physicality, but modern help is earlier, longer, and more coordinated. His counter would not be try harder. It would be faster decisions. Attack before the shell is set, screen the helper, post against a tilted floor, or make the first pass and get the ball back. Modern Jordan needs an offense, not an isolation museum. This is also why Jokić and Luka remain the hardest ranking problem. Jordan created advantages by breaking the first defender and collapsing the defense. Jokić and Luka can create the advantage before they move, with angle, timing, and the threat of a pass 2 rotations away. Jordan was a willing and sometimes brilliant playmaker, but there is no evidence that he could run an entire offense at that level for 80 games. Great scorer plus good creator is not automatically greater than historic creator plus elite scorer. Still, the Jordan was just a scorer version is false. In 1989, he asked to move to point guard. Over one stretch, he produced 10 triple-doubles in 11 games. For the season, he averaged 32.5 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. That does not turn him into Jokić. It does prove his production survived a radical increase in playmaking responsibility. When the role changed, Jordan did not become less Jordan. He discovered another version of himself. The next adaptation was harder. Phil Jackson's triangle asked Jordan to surrender some control, let the ball change sides, trust the read, and accept that every possession would not begin with a play called for him. Jackson later described getting Michael to buy in as the toughest sell. Jordan resisted. Then he learned it. That detail matters. Adaptation was not magic, and it was not immediate. He changed because the new structure gave him a better chance to win. You can see the payoff in the 1991 finals. Magic Johnson began leaning toward Jordan, trying to become the second defender before Michael attacked. Phil asked Jordan a simple question: who is open? The answer was John Paxson. In the deciding Game 5, Paxson scored 10 points late as Jordan kept finding the release valve. That is the modern read Jordan would need. Accept the extra defender, move the ball before the window closes, and trust that the advantage can return to you later. Then Jordan disappeared for 17 months and returned with less rhythm, less lift, and a body moving toward 32. The old solution would have been to chase the athlete he used to be. Instead, Jordan moved closer to the post. More pivots, more shoulder fakes, more fadeaways. In his 5th game back at Madison Square Garden, he scored 55. And with the game tied, he did not force number 57. He drew Patrick Ewing and passed to Bill Wennington for the winning dunk. The three-point question is less conclusive. Jordan shot 37.6% on 3 attempts per game in 1989-90 with the full distance line. Then, in Game 1 of the 1992 finals, Portland invited him to shoot, and he made 6 threes in the first half. Useful evidence, not a guarantee. One hot half cannot prove Jordan becomes a 40% volume shooter. It proves something narrower. When a defense presented the shot as a challenge, he could punish it. The modern projection still needs caution. So here is the responsible shooting estimate. Do not turn him into Steph Curry. Give an adapted Jordan 4 to 6 threes per game at roughly league-respectable accuracy, something like 34 to 37%. Enough that going under every screen becomes dangerous, not enough that his gravity begins at the logo. The purpose of the three is not to replace his mid-range game. It is to force the defender one step higher, so Jordan's first step in post-game can remain the center of the offense. Scenario 1. Teleport peak Jordan into the league tomorrow. Same body, same instincts, same old shot diet, no training camp, no modern repetitions. He is still too powerful, too skilled, and too competitive to fall anywhere near 20th. But early zones and three-point math would cost him efficiency, while Jokić, Shai, Luka, and Wemby already understand this environment. My range is 4th to 7th in the first months, with a real chance to climb into the top 5 by the playoffs. Phenomenal immediately, not automatically number 1. Scenario 2. Give peak Jordan 1 or 2 seasons to adapt. Now he has seen the zone. He knows which centers can switch. He has added the functional 3 and his team has built the spacing around him. That version probably gives you 31 to 34 points, 6 to 8 assists, elite foul pressure, and high-leverage perimeter defense. I would rank him 2nd to 4th in the same championship tier as Shai, Jokić, and Wembanyama. On the right roster, he could win MVP. In one playoff series, he might be my first pick. Scenario 3. Jordan grows up inside modern basketball. He develops the 3 before college, sees zone principles from youth tournaments, trains ball screen reads every summer, and enters the NBA already thinking like a primary creator. This is the highest ceiling, but also the least provable version. I would project him 1st to 3rd, with a legitimate claim to number 1. Not because every old skill automatically improves, but because the historical Jordan repeatedly added the skill his next version required: playmaking, system trust, post-craft, and selective shooting. That leaves the most useful distinction: best regular season player versus best playoff player. Over 82 games, I would still lean toward Jokic's offensive architecture, Shai's proven modern efficiency, or Wembanyama's positional impact, depending on the season. But in a 7-game series, Jordan's case gets stronger. He can attack a switching defense, punish smaller matchups, create a late clock shot, and become your best perimeter stopper for the final 6 minutes. The deeper a possession gets, the more his particular combination matters. So no, modern Michael Jordan is not simply a better Anthony Edwards without the 3. His closest offensive map is Shai's, with more explosion and more defensive playmaking. His late-career craft resembles Kawhi. His rim pressure recalls Wade, but he would not pass like Jokić or control the paint like Wembanyama. Teleported unchanged, roughly 4th to 7th. Given time, 2nd to 4th. Built by the modern game, 1st to 3rd. Jordan would have a real argument for best player alive, but it would be an argument, not a coronation.